Hey guys, and welcome to the Slice Wood Workshop. Today we're going to be looking at the sander sitting here in front of you. It's from Skil. It is a disc belt sander combo. I'm going to be showing you guys how to set it up so you guys can get it running. First off, we'll look at it a little bit. This was a separate piece that came with it, and then it had this that came with it as well, and it sits right here for whenever you're using the disc. As always, you have your safety switch right here. Just kind of pulls out and pops in and out for when you're not in use. Your belt tension is right here. Your plug comes out the back side, or on the side of it I mean, right next to the dust port. You have your miter gauge. First things first, let's talk about this little bar right here. It attaches with a 3/8 inch nut. That's not very hard to adjust and put together. All you do is you gotta make sure that's not gonna be hitting the belt, and then you just tighten it down. So we'll just tighten that down real quick. Make sure that it's not rubbing on the belt, or else you'll wear the grit off it very quickly. So that's nice and tight. That is more or less a safety catch for when you have something on the belt. That way, if you lose it, it hits that instead of just goes flying off into the shop somewhere. Next up, you have this little screw right here. You take that and you would take your table and you pop it in right there, and then you would put the screw in that little slot right there on the bottom. Okay, I needed two hands for that, sorry. I got the screw in right there, so the table's on. Underneath the table, it has 3 bolts right there. You got 1, 2, 3 that hold this table in place. And what you would need to do is, you can either use, if you want to be 100% accurate, you can use a square and get it perfectly against this disc, or you can eyeball it, because you can adjust your miter gauge in the slot for when the miter gauge is in there. It's got a little tab right there that you can use a screwdriver and adjust to what the degree is on from your miter gauge to your disc. So go ahead and get that tightened down real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get this dialed in. Okay, I've gotten my table fastened. All the bolts underneath were tightened. I have my miter gauges, you can see, resting on here now. It just pops in like that. And this is where you want to try to get your miter gauge dialed in. And the easy way to do that is just by taking a square and laying it up here, and putting it up against that disc and seeing which way it reads. You just look along that line, see if it's pressed all the way up along this side, and make sure that up here it's pressed up there as well. And if not, then you come back here and you would unscrew this and adjust it so that this was touching along this way and the disc was touching all along this. And once you have that totally dialed in, you take a screwdriver and you would loosen this up and move this little mark right here till it was on the 0, and then your miter gauge would be dialed in at a 90-degree angle from your fence to your disc, with the table in the exact position that it's in right now. Now if you go and you start moving this table around, then you would have to go back and redo this gauge to make sure that it was going to be 90 degrees towards that. Alright, now that you have your miter gauge all set up, now it is time to get your table tilt aligned so that you can put the sticker with the degree mark on it right here. Now the easy way to do that is by taking your square, putting it on the table, and then laying it up once again onto the disc. Now as you can see some sunlight near the bottom right here. What that means is that the front of the table is too high. So what we need to do is unscrew this screw just a bit, and then you go and lower that front of the table and you just work at it until you have your table totally flat to that disc. And then once you have that, you can install the sticker. Okay, you should be nearing your last steps. Your degree gauge should be stuck on. Your miter gauge should be 90 degrees to your disc. Your table should be 90 degrees. And you should have your safety bar on. Last thing to do is make sure that your belt is in line with that last roll, or the rear roller, and you do that by adjusting this knob over here. It'll tilt that wheel right or left, and it'll keep it so that the belt doesn't wander from one side or the other, causing the edge of your belt to hit this frame and tear it up. You can turn it on just to some little test runs just to watch and see how it's doing. And after that, it should be set up ready for sanding. Remember to wear your safety glasses. And I hope you enjoyed this instructional video on my skill sander, brought to you by A Slice of Wood Workshop. Thanks.